Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our JA Trades Expo. This is an early session, so we are so glad if you've been able to log on and join us. If you're watching this later, then thank you for tuning in. We're ready to get started, and I just want to thank you again for joining us. We're excited about the day. We've got lots of other webinars coming up as well. So if this is your first one, be sure to check out some of the other ones. Well, we are here from JA Canada, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about us before we jump into this specific session. You've probably heard of us through one of our 14 teams across the network, and you'll see on the map on the next slide here that there's a few fun facts about us. We have delivered over 445,000 student learning experiences across Canada this past year, and our focus is on career readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. So we thank you for your support this far as you've been engaged with JA Canada, I'm sure in many different capacities, and look forward to continuing to support your journey in education and empowerment ahead. Here's 3 different ways you can join us if you're not familiar with JA and the offerings that we have. I don't know if you've heard about our JA campus, but it's a great place where you can learn from the comfort of your home, and you can choose between short interactive modules or continue on if you've started some classroom learning. We also have several different classrooms and events that we offer programming through, and so perhaps you've already taken one of our courses or our programs, or been involved in one of our highly interactive and hands-on events like our World of Choices events. And so on the next slide, you'll see maybe this is what led you to our Trades Expo today. We are incredibly grateful for the support of RBC, who has made our World of Choices events possible, and to bring together youth like yourselves and career mentors in a variety of skilled trades to help you explore, understand, and learn what they're all about. Have you considered joining a skilled trade? Maybe you were inspired by the pipe welding, the electrical drilling, or the birdhouse building activities you've perhaps done if you attended one of our World of Choices summits. And I don't know, but did you know there's a growing demand of over 256,000 new skilled trade apprentices needed over the next 5 years in Canada? So if you're looking for an amazing career path and opportunity, you're in the right place. I am really pleased to share with you now, and without further ado, welcome welcome Tim Maxon. And Tim is here to talk to you about Masonry. So we're very excited to have Tim here, and I'm going to turn that over to him and let him get started with his presentation. Thank you, Tim.
Hi, and thank you for joining us this morning. And I'll try and be conscious that I'm talking to people across Canada. I'm normally talking to an audience that is in Ontario. And so I'll try also to keep things a little more general to let you know how this might affect you in different parts of Canada and how you can get involved there. So we'll keep moving through the slides. Um, so we'll tell you a little bit about who we are and about the trade of brick and stone mason. In various provinces, it might have different titles. It might be called brick masonry. It might be called brick and stone. It might just be called masonry. All of these things referring to the trade that we would understand or hear people talking about: a bricklayer, a block layer, a stonemason. So we'll talk about these things you see on the screen on the agenda and then move forward. I would like to acknowledge that we have a lot of partners here in Ontario that work with us. So the Contractors Association is a big part of that. They are the people that hire the apprentices that come through our training programs. And then we have the block manufacturers. We also have the brick manufacturers and the Cement Association, which produces the powders, which we turn into mortar and can keep the materials together. Of course, We have the support of the Government of Canada, and within the province of Ontario, uh, they are also our partner in being able to help fund programs. Next. Our main campus is situated in Mississauga in Ontario, and then we also have a secondary campus in Ottawa, although we also across the province of Ontario, we have campuses that we run courses in, not year-round, but periodically as needed in Windsor and in London, Kitchener-Waterloo area. We partner with Conestoga College. So you can move around the province. If you are in other parts of the country, then you would have to contact your local provincial ministry office that deals with skilled trades, and they would be able to tell you where in your province you could access training for the trade of brick and stone mason. Next. Um, If you were to look back a little bit in history, you would see examples of buildings and structures that, today we would say that it was masons that built these structures. So we can see that, over thousands of years, this trade has been around. It's developed, and the things that are built are still existing today to see. So in that sense, we know that there is a great history in our trade, but also moving forward, it's a trade that is very hard to automate. And so we feel that there will always be masons around, and that it's a good, stable trade to get involved in. Next. So if you were to get into the masonry trade, then the types of materials that you would commonly work with would be brick, block, stone, terracotta. Um, the things that you might have to think about is that you do have to work in all kinds of weather conditions. You do have to be willing to work at heights. Usually we're working on scaffolding, on the sides of buildings, those kinds of things, or interior, but usually on an elevated platform of some kind. And so if you were to get into this trade, you would learn how to read blueprints, how to understand building codes. You would want to learn all of the safety aspects of the trade specifically, but you also would want to have the general knowledge of safety that would be on a construction site. Next. We do like to let people know that as you move forward in a trade, that you could specialize. Initially, you're going to start out as a pre-apprentice or an apprentice in some type of um, entry-level program. Here in Ontario, we have programs such as Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, which people can get involved in high school level. And then moving forward, you would become eventually a certified red seal brick and stone mason if you chose to go through an apprenticeship. And then once you finish that, then you'll have the number of choices open to you if you want to specialize or get into more of the management side of the trade. Next. So lots of people want to know how much will they earn if they get into a trade. And more or less, if you look across the board, whether you're going to get into being an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, the wages are similar. Some are slightly higher, some are slightly lower. Some depend on various factors that we can talk about. But a lot of those factors are listed here for you. Who is the employer? What sector are you working in? What is the type of work, the nature of the work you're doing? Is it highly specialized? Can only a few people do that? Is it a unionized job where there's set wage scales and so on? Or is it a private company where they have their own set of how they do their pay? And then, of course, your experience in the trade will play a big part of that. So just to give you an idea, starting out at around the 24 to $26 an hour range, and then having benefits if you're in that unionized sector, um, or in a company that has that type of thing, and then each year jumping up usually by $5 to $7 an hour. And so in about 4 to 5 years' time, you could expect to be earning a journey person's wages, which would be somewhere in the $50 an hour range by the time you reach there. Next. Lots of people are interested, women specifically. Can women make masonry a career for them? And we have had a good number of women come through our training courses and get jobs and then move on to being involved in various roles. Some would decide that they would like to just go to work every day and get their paycheck at the end of the week. Others choose to get into management positions or into instructional positions. So we have found that pretty much every avenue that is available to anyone who wants to pursue masonry as a career. Next. So I'll just give you an idea of some of the programs that we have to offer. They may not be available across the country, but we'll move through these, and you would see you'd again have to get in touch with your local provincial ministry office that deals with skilled trades and find out what kinds of courses are available and who is doing them. Next. So within the Ontario system, we have the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. And so I focus a little bit more on this program within Ontario simply because it is a pathway for youth to get into trades very early on. And those who choose to do this will be at a huge advantage because by the time they have what potentially they would have gone to college or university, by the time they would have finished that, they will already be earning very good wages and being able to move on with a life, and generally speaking, without much debt, if any. So some of our entry-level ones are the OEAP program. The next one that we offer is pre-apprenticeship. So this is sort of before you've signed up as an apprentice, but to give you enough knowledge and skills to get a job and then get registered as an apprentice. And then if you happen to have a masonry employer that you know of and can jump right into apprenticeship, then that would be your entry into the trade. Moving through in Ontario, although it does vary slightly by hours across the country, I believe, but by and large, it's very close now because the we have tried to harmonize the trade across the country so that there would be a similar amount of hours and similar in-school curriculum as well as on the job so that someone could move across the country within trades. And many trades have done this. So as you go through, you would have levels of training that's in school and then hours on the job. You would combine these to get your total number of hours. Once you've finished those total number of hours, you can write your CQ exam, certificate of qualification, and get your red seal. If it is a red seal trade, which brick and stone is one that you could get into. It is in most provinces a voluntary trade, meaning you do not have to take an apprenticeship to go through it. However, most people would view someone who has taken an apprenticeship and has gotten their Red Seal certificate as a person who has a much more well-rounded education and knowledge than the average person who may not have gone through that. Next. Again, focusing in on the OEAP program. This is for young people who are in grade 11 and 12, at least in Ontario, and where you can start to you're learning at that age, and you can get into basically you're starting your apprenticeship, learning that level 1 content of the trade in this within your last year of high school. Next. In this case, there is no fees, and the school boards generally will provide some of the additional items that are needed, like textbooks and tools. It could be on a loan basis for that period of time. And if you're successful, at least within our programs, then we help you to move forward into a job placement. If you, as long as we have contractors available at that point in time that can take you on. And then once you've done that, you would sort of move into that full apprenticeship where you would work for several years and then come back to school to take your next level of training. Next. So most of those entry level ones in high school are 2 to 3 months. And for us in Ontario, we're doing those generally in the second semester of grade 12. It is a full-time program. Sometimes we do accommodate March break, and in other, sometimes we work right through the March break. So a student may have to give up their March break on that particular year that they're trying to achieve um, the uh, the level one. Next. So within this, you're getting those basic skills and knowledge so that we can move you into an apprenticeship program and continue on into a career in masonry. Next. So again, maybe just speaking specifically to people in Ontario right now, this is the process of having your coordinator at your school contact the Ontario Masonry Training Center moving forward. And once we've established some contact there, had a quick interview, then all the paperwork is done between our office and the school office, and then you would get enrolled and start the training program at the specified time. Next. And generally speaking, we have worked hard to create OEP classes that are made up of high school students entirely. It's not always possible. So when it's not possible, we integrate the high school students in with a regular level one. But we have, in most cases now, been able to create OEP classes or high school classes that kids from various high schools will come in and form that group or that class, and then move through the program. Next. So that's getting started in high school. But if you've had some other challenges, or you've been thinking about something else, and now you've decided at the end of high school that you would like to get into a trade, then your next option after completing grade 12 would be a pre-apprenticeship program. And again, I don't have a great knowledge of how many of these are offered across the country. I know in Ontario, we tend to have several of these that we offer each year in 2 or 3 different locations, and very similar in terms of the training content to what we would do in an OEAP program, where we're giving the basic skills and knowledge. We have a couple of different um, ways of offering this. One would be that we actually are doing the level one training of apprenticeship within the pre-apprenticeship program at the beginning, and that would be a longer program. Let's move ahead and we'll see what the differences may be in these. So, and both of these, in these programs, it's similar in that you would start out with your in-school training. And as I say, we have one that is a fairly long program. So you're in school for 4 to 5 months of training, and then moving into your paid work placement. That could be another 2 to 3 months of work placement. So it's taking the majority of the year in this to get you started in a trade. Next. In these particular programs, you do have to be 18 years, and then you will have to provide proof of a social insurance number, proof of having completed in Ontario. The age is, or the grade is grade 10. And that may vary across the country. You must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, or be able to take study and work in the province you're taking it in. and not in other full-time programs. And of course, you want to be interested in Masonry if that's what you're getting into. Next. Um, Generally, we do information sessions prior to these. We often offer these in starting in May. So our recruitment happens in February, March, April. So if you wanted to get into these, you would want to go to our website and see if you can join a information session. If we had somebody from out of province that wanted to come to Ontario, then we'd make accommodations for that by giving them maybe a pre-recorded information session or allowing them to join an information session virtually. Once you have filled out the applications and assessments, then an interview would be arranged. And once that's done, if you have been accepted, you would start your pre-apprenticeship program on the specified date. Next. So again, these programs are the entry-level ones that to get into an apprenticeship, and these are the kind of things you can be on the lookout for if you want to get into apprenticeship. So lastly, we'll just talk a little bit about apprenticeship, and then we'll have some time for questions. So moving on to the next slide. So now we're starting to look down the road for people who decide to get into the trade of masonry. If you have gotten into one of these entry level ones, or you happen to know someone who will sponsor you, then you're would be registered as an apprentice in the province that you are in, unless you have the ability to move to Ontario, in which case you would be registered here in the province as an apprentice. In order to be registered as an apprentice, you do have to have either an employer or a sponsor, like a union or someone who has that ability to sign apprentices up. The length of the program, again, I believe it's pretty much standard across the country, although you might see in some provinces slightly less or more hours in total length. The schooling is the same across the country, having 3 levels: basic, intermediate, and advanced. And as mentioned earlier, we are trying to keep the information that is in these 3 levels, excuse me, fairly similar, so that you could move across the country if you were within your apprenticeship and still pick up your next level of training. Next. Um, so to get into an apprenticeship, as soon as you have that masonry employer or sponsor, then they could help you with the local ministry in your province to get signed up as an apprentice. But again, if you didn't have those avenues and you needed to get a start, then programs like OYAP or PREAP would be the ones you would get your start in. There are places where you can have a look for jobs online within your province. It would vary, of course, and that might be the way that you start, by doing some research and finding out where there are companies that you could potentially get a start at within your own province. Next. Again, moving back to Ontario, it's specifically the group within Ontario is called Skilled Trades Ontario, and they are sort of an arm's length group that will coordinate your apprenticeship. I'm not sure if that's available in every province, but I'm sure that the local ministry would be able to direct you as to whether they have a specific group that deals with apprenticeship, or they have their own, within their own government, a group that does that. Next. So if you were looking to get involved with us, or you have questions after this, you watch this, then you'd be able to reach out to us, and as well follow us on social media if that's something that you want to do, and have a look and see what programs are available here in Ontario. Welcome to do that. So thank you again for uh, joining us in our presentation about the trade of masonry. And if there are some questions now, I think that I'm at the end of my presentation. So we'll
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Tim. It was really interesting to learn more about masonry and, just the reality that Masons have been building wonders of the world for centuries, from the pyramids in Egypt to the CN Tower today. It's really just great to learn. So thank you so much for sharing, and love to hear what the Ontario Masonry Training Center offers and how it can also accommodate students from other provinces. So that's really great information for you to share. So while we have Tim here, we do have some time for questions. You can post your questions in the Q&A. And while you're doing that, what I wanted to just ask Tim a couple of questions. Other than the OYAP and the pre-app programs, are there any other courses that you think would be helpful for students to consider taking for this particular trade?
Um, well, I mean, there could be local colleges that offer introductory courses within the provinces. In Ontario, there could be a few of those types of things. You could also, just approach employers, to get a summer job, to get a feel for whether this is a trade that you would enjoy getting into, or something similar like landscape, where the hardscape part of landscaping has some similarities, and you start to learn principles of construction that would be lend itself towards a beginning or a start of an interest in masonry. We do actually offer one other program currently running, but I couldn't guarantee that it's going to be ongoing. But we have had funding last year and this year for a program which we call a drop-in program. This program is designed for people who may not be able to come in for full-time training, and they could hold down a part-time job and come in and really train as they are available. We have a few outlines around it, so we're looking for people to come in at least a couple of days a week. Otherwise, we find that it would be very difficult for you to get to a place where we could find employment for you. But you could actually take the similar training to our other programs spread out over, say, 12 to, 16, 18, 20 weeks. And then once you're work ready, we would try to assist you to find a job placement, but you would also have the tools within your, wheelhouse, as they say, to go out and advertise yourself as having some skills and knowledge in the trade. And so that's one other program. We're offering that in our Mississauga campus and in our Ottawa campus this year. And both of those are sort of ongoing. You have to go to our website and fill out an application for that drop-in program. It's quite easy to do. Just select the drop-in tab, select new entrant if you have not previously been in a trade, and fill out the form. And then eventually we will get in touch with you, have an interview, and get you into the program once we have space. It has become a very popular program. We do have quite a waiting list in Mississauga. Ottawa's just new this year, so it's a little easier to get into our Ottawa location, or it will be a shorter wait. Again, going across the province, I don't know all of the programs across the country. I don't know all of the programs that might be available in different provinces. But I'm sure many of them have some of these introductory type courses that you can get involved in to see if this is a trade that you're interested in. Within Ontario, we are quite happy to accommodate as best we can, bringing our training like a workshop to your high schools, and allowing students who perhaps are in construction technology courses or something to experience masonry in their own shop or place. Sometimes we do that even outside in a parking lot. So we can make that a little bit mobile. It would be challenging to, say, go up to Kenora or something like that for us. But if you're in the southern part of Ontario, we could probably accommodate a visit to your high school and do a short workshop for a day.
Great, great. You don't have like a little brick house that you trailer around to
Well, we
to
have
different
trailers
locations.
with bricks in them. We don't have the house inside the trailer because it would be too heavy. But we do have trailers that we bring bricks, mortar, and all of the equipment to high schools for them to experience that. So that
That's
is
amazing.
for people. Yep.
Amazing. Question for you. When you become a certified or accredited Mason, can you work anywhere in Canada if you do your apprenticeship, let's say in Ontario? Could you then work anywhere across Canada?
Yeah, so that's the sort of the beauty of the Red Seal program is it's designed to give people credentials to move across the country. There might be some restrictions in some provinces. For example, in Quebec, they do have their own apprenticeship system, so there would be some probably stipulations there on being able to actually work in that province. But I think most of the rest of the provinces are fairly open if you have your red seal to being able to work there without being restricted. Having said that, in many provinces, again, trades like carpentry and masonry are what we call a voluntary trade, although you can get your red seal. It is not mandatory to have that, so you still should be able to work in those provinces if you have those skills, but it's just up to the employers as to whether they want to hire you. So the red seal is usually a little bit of something that helps open the doors in other provinces because they know you've had some good training coming from another province.
Great, great. We have a question in the chat. How do we contact you for a high school workshop?
So I think there was that last slide that I had there, and perhaps if JA Canada doesn't mind sharing that information with people, or if you can go back, this is being recorded, go back to that last slide. There is the email address. Yeah, one more back, I think. There you go. And you can give us a call or email us at that or visit our website. And then we'll follow up with that kind of request.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm wondering, what are some of the challenges of the day-to-day as a Mason, and how do Masons overcome those?
Challenges day to day. I mean, there could be a number of those. You could have weather-related challenges, in which case you have to decide whether you can continue working for the day or if you can shelter the what you're working on enough that you can keep going. Or the temperatures may be fluctuating, and so you have to cover in the work area and put heat inside there so you can work in the winter months. Other challenges may be, problems that are not anticipated, by the contractor that is running, the general contractor. And so, figuring out how to overcome those kind of obstacles, something maybe in the plans was not thought of, and the mason, it's going to be difficult for the mason to do their job because, this was not something that really was planned for. And so the challenge would be to come up with a solution for that. And oftentimes that means perhaps moving to another location on the job site, working there for a while there's some discussion going on around how to, accommodate that. Um, I don't know if there's a specific challenge maybe you had, or that you can think of that I could address. Um, for an apprentice, it may be just the challenge of being able to understand what they're being asked to do, and so you have to ask questions. Right now, I think people are looking, employers are looking for people who, it's in some ways a bit unfortunate that the bar has come down to if you show up every day on time, you probably are, about you've put yourself ahead of the pack. You're in the lead, so that's my first, advice to any young person or anyone getting into a trade is if you show initiative, if you show that you want to learn, if you show up, 10, 15 minutes early to the job site and you're ready to work, and if you're, eager to learn and you are asking, relevant questions, not questions just for the sake of asking or becoming annoying, but ones that you're clarifying exactly what the employer wants to do or asking for them to show you, some technique or whatever. Most tradespeople are quite happy to help you as long as they don't sense that you have an attitude of knowing everything already. And that's the danger of, doing a training program. Is often people will go to the job site and say, well, I learned this at school, and they don't want to, listen to their employer because he may or she may have a different way of approaching that situation, and they want you to do it the way that they would like you to do it. So listening, understanding, doing what you're told, being on time, those are all probably the things that you want to keep in mind as somebody starting out in pretty much any trade, probably any job.
And that's great advice. We talk about that in our World of Choices and our summit programs about essential skills like responsibility, like communication skills. Those are really core and table stakes when you're looking at any career path, and certainly no exception here. So thank you for sharing that and reiterating the message that we believe is really important for students to hear from JA as well. So you showed us about some of the different career opportunities and the progression that are possible as a Mason. I'm wondering, on average, if you can answer this question, how long would someone stay in the trade as a Mason? And is there a different opportunity that you see them transition to after a period of time in Masonry? Or does this become a lifelong career for many of the people that go into this trade?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. There are definitely options for people as they progress in the trade. And I often tell people, like, the longer you're in the trade, the more experience you get, the more options you're going to have to do, to what you do with that skill and with that knowledge. And so the first 4 or 5 years, you pretty much have to dedicate that. This is your learning time. You have this time where you're going to pick up as much information and as many skills within your trade as possible by watching and by listening and the things that we just talked about, and by practicing. Really, a lot of it is practice. Doesn't matter what trade you get into, it's practice. And so you learn a technique and then you practice till you get good at it, or excellent at it as time goes on. So those first 4 or 5 years are dedicated to that. And then you start to be able to say, well, I would rather work, here or there. I would like to work in this sector. I would like to, work towards being, perhaps your own boss. Perhaps it's something that, you want to be in a specialized sector such as restoration, which is repair of old buildings. Um, or it could be something very specific like stone cutting and stone carving that you have an interest in. And so searching out opportunities that those are available and finding out whether you actually have the ability to do that. So we have had students come through our programs, and some of them right from the get-go, they said, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. I know I'm not going to get there tomorrow, but this is where I want to be. And because they are tenacious about that, they do find their way into that niche that they want to get to, because they've decided that's where they want to go, and they're happily doing that, or as far as I know, they're happily doing it. But they've reached that point where they wanted to get to. So there's the option of, as you said, you learn those skills, you go to work, you do, say, new masonry, so you're laying bricks and blocks or perhaps stonework, and you enjoy that, and that's what you want to do, and you're happy, in that part or whatever. You've found your place and you stay there. Your wages generally tend to go up over years with just basically union agreements and the cost of living, and everybody realizes that. And as you've progressed through various skills, you've gotten more or various kinds of work. For example, There's another side of our trade which is called refractory work, which is the repair and building of furnaces and kilns in industrial plants. So they could be in the mining industry where they're, smelting down copper or gold or whatever, and they need these furnaces, but these furnaces need to be able to capable of containing extremely high heat in the thousands of degrees. So they have to be built with something that will hold that in. A refract is that term to keep that heat in that furnace. So that is a masonry material, and then masons build those. Though the way those furnaces are built have changed drastically over the years, but it's still by and large been masons that do that construction. And so in that trade, you're working uh, pretty long hours over short periods of time, meaning that the companies need those furnaces built or repaired very quickly. So they have shifts of workers going in sometimes 24 hours a day till it gets fixed. And you might be on a 12-hour shift. And so you're making incredible amounts of money because you're working lots of overtime. But that once that furnace is fixed, the job is over. And so you might not find another furnace to work on for several months, but you already made in 3 months what most people make in 6 months to a year because of all the hours you put in. So there are different avenues, different places that people find that, yeah, I really enjoy doing this. You may have to move around or travel with some of these, so you have to be realize that, you have to go to where the job is no matter what when you're in construction.
Interesting, interesting. Well, I am learning a lot. I wouldn't have thought that and connected the dots between that refractory work, as you've referred to, and masons being the experts and the ones that are doing that work. Makes perfect sense, though. Um, Question for you. Technology is evolving quickly and rapidly. Does technology show up in masonry? And if so, how?
So it does show up in a number of ways. So obviously, planning jobs, computer programs and AutoCADs and all those things for making the plans and figuring out the measurements, all of those sorts of things are done with technology. Communication on the job has changed, and we all, use our phones to communicate in different ways. So, if there's a problem on a job, you can take a picture of something, send it to somebody else, say, "What do I do?" Those kinds of things. On a higher level, using lasers to either clean masonry or to cut material. There's water jets that will cut through stone. There's diamond blades that will cut through masonry materials. So all of these are technologies that, back in the days of building the pyramids, they didn't have. And so they probably, wish they had it, but then they would have needed a power source. They didn't have that either, right? So, all of these technologies are there. But then when it gets to actually automation of the process of building with brick and block and stone, it has become, it's very hard for anyone to come up with a machine that can do a mason's work. There are some out there that they've tried over the years, and in some places it will work. For some specific jobs, they will work. They always, like anything else, need people to run those machines. And if the machine doesn't know what to do, then everything comes to a halt. Or if the machine breaks down, everything comes to a halt. So, and most of these things are very costly. So, if you go on YouTube or something like that and looked up, bricklaying machine or something, you'll find some examples. But by and large, they have not been able to capture any significant amount of the market because they're so specific and they're very costly to run and to initially purchase, that the job would have to be, in such a format to be able, it would almost have to be designed for that machine to build it. So it's not going to be cost effective on most smaller projects because by the time they transport the machine, they set it up, they get it going, a masonry crew of 4 or 5 people could have the job finished and be on to their next job. So it isn't a trade that we foresee automation taking over, but there are innovations that we use, cutting materials and that sort of thing that technology has helped us.
Wonderful, wonderful. So fairly good job security in this AI evolution and revolution. So
Right.
thank you very much for
Yeah.
sharing. Well, this has been really engaging and super informative. I really want to thank you, Tim, for your time and for just sharing your insights and your expertise from the field of masonry with us and the opportunities for young people. Thank you for attending. For those of you that have joined us this morning, we'd love to know how you thought this webinar went. So if you can take a minute to do our quick poll if you've joined us, that would be great. And we will wrap this session up. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. And again, sincere appreciations, Tim. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for having us.